So, Bible calamity. What does calamity even mean? Calamity is an event causing great and often sudden damage, sudden damage or distress. So, why is it called Bible calamity? Because there's a lot of calamities in the Bible. A lot of distress, a lot of damage. People just can't get it right. Can they? No. So, Bible calamity. And today's calamity is nothing unusual. It is all about reading the Bible. This is more of a modern calamity, I guess, than an ancient one. This is not a Bible time calamity. This is a calamity that you, me, and everyone else has caused ourselves. We are the calamity. So this week's topic is reading the Bible. Billy, you're supposed to be switching the slides for me. I'm not supposed to have to do this. He's not getting it. I don't get it. I just don't understand. But we're going to go through some steps. So step one, well, hold on just a second. You have to open your Bible. You get it? Billy, did you get that? Yes. He got it. You must open it to read it. It does not open and read itself. So first step to reading our Bibles is to open our Bibles. It's quite complicated, and I am here to demonstrate. Actually, Billy is going to demonstrate. Here's our Bible. It's quite large because, I'm just going to sit it on his head. Check this out. Ready? It's open. Open. And we open the Psalms. So that is our first step in reading our Bibles, to open such Bible. What is the next step in reading our Bibles? We have to read the Bible. So opening it's not enough. We must actually read it. Isn't that right, Billy? He says yes. He's shy sometimes. He says this because he has a goat name. 3 is the biggest step of them all. Everyone messes this up. This is the calamity of our time. This is the calamity you cause, I cause, Billy causes. He says no, but yes, he does. Everyone has caused this calamity. Danger, disaster, damage. It's awful. And everyone is responsible for this. We have all done it at one point or another. Knowing it or not, you have done this. But step 3 is understanding the Bible. We read it, but do we get the true meaning of what it's saying? There's one question you need to ask to really make sure you don't mess up. There are other questions, though, that help this one, but there's one big one that's really going to keep us safe. And that is, what is the author's intended meaning of the passage? In other words, what was Paul thinking when he wrote Philippians? What was on his brain? What was sitting on his head? What was on Billy's head when he wrote that note last week? It was really mean and hurtful. I'm not sure. It was probably mean and hurtful thoughts. Isn't that right, Billy? He said yes. He's mean. So our example for today is Philippians 4:12. Why this passage? Because so many people use it, and so many people use it the wrong way. Like, really wrong. Like, have you ever seen one of those baseball players who write this on their shoe? What's that supposed to mean? I don't get it. Philippians 4:12 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Okay? If I think about this hard enough, Billy, you need to start thinking. If I think about this hard enough, I can make that say whatever I want to say. Why can I do that? Because I don't see the big picture. It's just a verse, but I don't have everything around it. It's like a puzzle piece. So if you take a puzzle piece, just one piece out of the box, you may look at it, it may be green like a tree, it may be blue, but until you actually put it into the puzzle and see what the big thing looks like, you don't know what you're looking at. That little piece of blue could be part of a house, could be part of an ocean, could be part of a lake, could be part of the sky. You don't know unless you see it in the big thing. That's what we're talking about right here. That is the calamity. When people take a piece of Bible verse and make it say whatever they want. That is wrong. You hear that, Billy? Wrong. He knows, but he probably won't listen. It's wrong. So, how do we avoid this? How do we fix this? What's this big dilemma we're trying to overcome? Is we got a mess. And Paul's writing, he's writing to this church. After the church gets it, it's spread everywhere. They make hundreds of copies. And 2,000 years later, we're reading it. But we're very, very different than them back then. They were back then. We don't think the same. We don't use the same stuff. They didn't have video cameras back then. They didn't have a lot of stuff like this. They didn't talk the same we do. So we're trying to figure out what he's saying way back then and keep what his thoughts were. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to think the way Paul thinks. Think the way Paul thinks. Billy, think the way Paul thinks. He says yes. But how are we going to do that? So the first thing is we got to open our Bibles and read Philippians 4:12. Now, this is really important that we read more than just Philippians 4:12. We have to read around it also. Paul had this big thought he was trying to get across to us. And if we just read a little bit, we don't get the whole thought. So let's read starting at verse 10, and we're going to see what Paul was thinking. I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you reward your concern for me. Renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Yet it was good of you to share in my troubles. Moreover, as you Philippians know, in the early days of your acquaintance with the gospel, when I set out from Macedonia, not one church shared with me in the matter of giving and receiving, except you only. So Paul is thanking them. He's thanking them for what they gave him, how they helped him, how they gave a lot for him. And Paul is telling him there, I got content in whatever circumstance I was in. I knew that Jesus was going to be with me. He was going to help me through it. He was going to get me through it. So no matter what Paul was going through, he knew he'd be okay because Jesus was there. He was going to help him through that struggle, that hard time, and he would be with him and not leave him. That's why Paul says, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. He's not saying I can hit a home run because Christ strengthens me. He's not saying I can be the best artist in the world because Christ strengthens me. He's saying I can do what Jesus wants me to do because he gives me the strength to do it. See, this verse, if you take it out of context, it can mean anything you want. If you just take that little puzzle piece and look at it, it could be anything in your imagination. But you have to put it in the pieces. You have to put the whole puzzle together to see what Paul's talking about, to see what the puzzle looks like. Otherwise, you just don't get the big picture. Hold on a second. If you take one puzzle piece and you don't look at the rest of it, you don't get the big picture. Did you get that? I don't think you got that. You have to see everything, not just one piece. You get it? I got it. Did you get that? I think you got it. He didn't say anything. I think you got it. So, to avoid this calamity, you have to look everywhere, to read everywhere. You gotta read everything. You just can't read a little bitty piece and make it say whatever you want it to, because that doesn't work. That's a calamity. That's dangerous. That's disaster. It's awful. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Next week, we're going to learn a little bit more about this. We're going to learn why it's important to know everything about the Church of Philippi, why it's important to know why Paul went there, what he was doing there, and a bunch of other stuff about that city and about that church. Because when you know those things, you know why Paul was writing to them and why he stopped there so often. Till next time, be great. We'll see you then.